I mean, after all, what do you expect a 200 million man army to do? And that's just one army. There are others, believe me. Verse 16 talks about the heavens and the earth are going to shake. Let me just read that. The Lord shall also roar out of Zion, verse 16, and utter his voice from Jerusalem, and the heavens and the earth shall shake, but the Lord will be the hope of his people and the strength of the children of Israel. See, he is their only hope. God is our only hope. Well, I'll tell you, it's been, let's say, until just recent times, I think we could say that it's been comparatively quiet on this earth. But then World War I erupted in 1914, and then led by Germany, and then World War II erupted in 1939, led by Germany, and your Bible says World War III is going to erupt, and again, Germany is going to lead the world into World War III. So there is another huge army in Europe, and they're going to be very destructive too. I mean, just imagine all of these armies with nuclear bombs and weapons of mass destruction. I mean, that's a witch's brew you can't even conjure up in your mind in many ways. Matthew 24, verses 21 and 22 says that there's going to be no flesh saved alive, according to the Moffat translation, unless Christ intervened to stop it. And he's going to stop it. And only Christ can stop it. Nothing else could even come close to stopping this. And people, what they do is they just ignore it. That's basically the way they handle it. Here's what Winston Churchill said in writing about World War I. In the World Crisis, he wrote, 1911 to 1914, he said, Germany clanked obstinately, recklessly, awkwardly towards the crater and dragged us all in with her. That is World War I. And then he said, another quote, Germany afterwards brought about the war. Well, they started it. Well, what happened in World War II? Well, the London Times wrote about Britain should be giving up a part of Czechoslovakia to the German Nazis, and they did. The world pressured Czechoslovakia to give up part of its country, but Hitler kept coming and marching, and of course he started World War II. And Winston Churchill tried to get the message out and warn people in World War II, and he was absolutely muzzled by BBC, their international television station that is sponsored by the government. They were very pacifist, and I think you'll find them not very repentant of what they did and were leading up to World War II. But all of this is prophesied, but the beauty of it is it's leading into the day of the Lord, and on that last trump of the day of the Lord, Jesus Christ is going to return to this earth and give us peace and joy and happiness forever, and illustrate through all of that suffering that man is totally incapable of ruling himself. I mean, what does it take for us to learn that? Look at the horror facing us. Unparalleled problems facing us, and we deal with it by just hiding from it almost. But that isn't going to make anything go away. That's a childish approach to these horrors. That's what it is. Winston Churchill warned the Western world for almost a decade before Hitler plunged them into World War II, and he told them it was coming. And almost nobody listened, and they rejected him until they saw he was right. And then during and after World War II, Mr. Herbert W. Armstrong warned Britain and America that Germany was going to rise again when they were in the midst of total destruction after World War II. He said they're going to rise up and be more powerful than they ever were before. And they're going to shock the world. And now people scoffed, but look what's happened. Here's a headline from Spiegel Online. Europe shudders at Germany's newfound power. I mean, they just have all of Europe prostrate before them financially. Well, how did that all happen? Well, it all happened because God said it was going to happen. Then there's another headline, the fear of the German colonization of Europe. Mr. Armstrong even wrote in 1980, this was one of his later prophecies, he said the new giant world power of the United States of Europe, the revived Holy Roman Empire of 554 to 1814, could conceivably now emerge to stun the whole world in wonder. Well, I'll tell you, they are stunning the world, and a lot of Europe's already beginning to shudder. But how about the rest of the world? Do they really know what is going on? And do we know where this is all leading? If you don't know about the day of the Lord, you don't understand what this is all developing into being. Here's what the British daily newspaper, The Times, judges that Germany has actually begun the process of the subjugation of foreign peoples. Well, what do you know? Let's read Daniel 8, and it's all prophesied. Here is the day of the Lord. It leads, and it tells us what leads up and into it. Verse 23, and in the latter time of their kingdom, when the transgressors are come to the full, a king of fierce countenance and understanding dark sentences shall stand up. And his power shall be mighty, and not by his own power. There's the devil giving him power. Wow, what does that mean? Well, it means all of those horrifying weapons are going to be used, and it's going to be the most terrifying event ever to unfold on this earth. And there never will be anything like it again. Christ is going to see to that. And it goes on to say, and he shall destroy wonderfully and shall prosper and practice and shall destroy the mighty and the holy people. And through his policy also he shall cause craft to prosper in his hand. And he shall magnify himself in his heart, and by peace shall destroy many. That is, acting like he wants peace. Destroy many, and he shall also stand up against the prince of princes, but he shall be broken without hand. That prince of princes is Jesus Christ, and that is the day of the Lord when he's going to face Jesus Christ, and Jesus Christ is going to destroy them forever. As far as that military combine that has been so destructive in this world. But I'll tell you, the time of words is almost past. The time of words is almost over. We are facing perils without measure. And yet, most people just ignore it. And even the news media don't really get into how terrible it really is going to be, and already is for that matter. But it has that most inspiring conclusion. Notice Zephaniah 1 verses 5 and 6 talks about the great day of the Lord is near. It is near. It hastes greatly. And if you want a sign of when it's going to be here, well, you can it says in verse 6 that God's people are going to be turning away from God at that very time when the day of the Lord is coming into their lives and into this world, and everybody can see it. And what an amazing thing to see a great apostasy in God's own church. But it is a specific sign that the day of the Lord is here, and it hastes greatly toward its end. We have literature that you need that will explain all of this to you, and I tell you that we must listen to the voice of the day of the Lord, as it says in Zephaniah 1, verses 13 and 14. Where is the voice of the day of the Lord? Where do you hear a voice talking about the day of the Lord? Where Jesus Christ returns at the conclusion of all of that destruction on this earth. Destruction unparalleled in the history of man. And finally, Jesus Christ returns at the very last trump, the very end of that day of the Lord, and ushers in the peace and joy and happiness that man has always striven for but never been able to achieve. That's what we need to understand right now so that we can change ourselves and escape the horrors that are coming. That's critical to each one of us. Until next week, this is Gerald Flurry. Goodbye, friend.